What's the impact of good leadership on a project? Well, work moves forward, normally efficiently and quickly. It has clear direction, and normally, because conflict resolution is not something that is avoided and is dealt with as part of good leadership, conflict and confrontation is also managed and resolved quickly. I've stressed it all the way through. The importance of good leadership in project management can't be overestimated. It makes a positive difference to project success. And as I say, it's often a case of blending skills and techniques in the right proportions at the right time. So it's not a science, it is an art. It's the art part of good project management, and that's something that you'll gain through experience, but also through knowledge of leadership type styles and theories. I was delivering a session on enterprise leadership for DSTL, which is a part of the MOD, and I walked in the room, and they'd been there all morning, and they all had little stickers on their lapels of a picture of an elephant, a monkey, a lion, or a dolphin. I was like, well, what you're doing? I'd never seen it before, and it's called the Zoo Personality Quiz. I think if you Google it, it's freely available to have a look at. And when I looked it up, I was struck by the following sentence: with monkeys trying to joke with long-suffering elephants, and impatient lions at odds with nurturing dolphins, the result is chaos. And I thought, yeah, of course it is. You got different people just at loggerheads all the time, rubbing up against each other and not really understanding what it is that the other person's frame of reference or natural kind of personality state comes from. And so in those exercises that you do, whether it's Myers-Briggs or whether it's Magnuson McCann or even the Zoo Personality Quiz, what you're doing by undertaking those assessments is that you're finding out what your own dominant style is. You're finding out what makes you tick and what your natural preferences are. There's different ones out there that might focus on work and that natural being, but in essence, they're telling you who you are. The actual most important thing is to know who your colleagues that you're working with are. So it's good that you know what you are, but if you understand what your colleagues' preferences are, you can then adapt your style temporarily to get the best outcome for the situation and the project. So for example, I'm an extrovert, and I'm logic minded. So so I assimilate information and I share it quite quickly because that's my personality type. Whereas someone else, they like to take time and they like to consider thoughts before sharing to make sure it's right. And so for me, that can be quite frustrating because I'm not getting the engagement I want in the time required. For someone else, they think, oh, here's Dave just bulldozing his way through it again and getting frustrated by that. So it's important for me as a leader to recognize that and go, okay, I'm gonna just adapt my style a little bit, try and mirror what's going on over here, get the best outcome, and that's not being disingenuous or trying to be someone I'm not. It's just adapting temporarily to get the best situation for that particular person. A real moment in my career, a real reflection point. I used to have this guy called Pat. I won't share his full name, and he was a real details man, and I'm a bullet point person, right? And he used to come up to me every day. He's one of my direct reports, and he would just reel off all this stuff to me, and I just didn't have the time. I wasn't that interested. I knew that most of what he was telling me wasn't worth listening to. It was really bad. I mean, I was so rude. I mean, I can't believe I'm sharing this with you. He would be talking to me, he'd be briefing me, and I'd carry on writing emails on my machine. I'd listen out for key words, and then every now and again I'd go, oh yeah, that's interesting. Tell me a bit more about that. And he'd download a bit about that. And when I'd heard enough, I'd go back to my emails and let him carry on again. And I kind of reflect on it one day. I said, what must this look like to Pat? I mean, he's trying to depart all this really important information to his line manager, and he won't even like turn his back on his computer and listen. So I just said to him one day, I said, you know, Pat, look, if you promise to come to me with bullet points, I promise I'll turn my back on my machine and listen to you 100%, and then we can delve into any parts that are of particular importance. And just that one intervention transformed our relationship. He transformed into sort of, you know, making sure the information that was important was prioritized and was brought to my attention. I gave him the time and respect he did, and I learned a lot from him. And I actually listened to him a lot more going forward and took in a lot more. And it's just little things like that that make you realise that you go, you know, we were just completely poles apart. And all it took was that recognition and that moment to change the dynamics going forward. And, you know, a great chap, loved what he's about. He didn't need to change anything. It was just about reflecting how we communicate with each other.